Have you ever felt too small, too overlooked, or too ordinary to do something truly important? It's a common feeling. But the Bible shows us that God often chooses the most unexpected people to do the most extraordinary things. Today, we'll journey back to a pivotal moment and hear the story of Moses and the burning bush, when God called a humble shepherd to lead his people from slavery. For 40 years, Moses had lived a quiet, hidden life in the land of Midian. He was once a prince, raised in the splendor of Pharaoh's palace. But after a terrible mistake, he fled, leaving that life far behind. Now, Moses was simply a shepherd. His days were marked by the rising sun, the bleating of sheep, and the vast, silent wilderness. To Moses, his life must have seemed completely ordinary, his past a distant memory. He likely believed his chance to do anything great was long gone, but God's timing is not our own, and he had a very different plan. One day, as Moses led his flock near Mount Horeb, the mountain of God, a flicker of light caught his eye. It was something completely out of place. There, a bush was engulfed in fire. Bright flames danced around its branches, yet the bush itself wasn't burning up. Not a single leaf was scorched. Moses stopped, his heart pounding with curiosity and awe. He thought, I must go over and see this strange sight. Why isn't the bush being consumed? As he cautiously moved closer, a powerful voice called out from the flames,
Moses, Moses!
Here I am.
Do not come any closer. Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground.
Holy ground. In that moment, the dusty earth beneath Moses' feet was transformed. It was no longer just wilderness, it was a place made sacred by the presence of God. Overwhelmed, Moses quickly removed his sandals, feeling unworthy.
Then, the voice continued, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob.
At this, Moses hid his face because he was afraid to look at God.
Then God spoke of his people. I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard their cries because of their slave drivers, and I am concerned about their suffering, so I have come down to rescue them. Then God gave Moses his impossible mission. So now go. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt.
The words hung in the air, unbelievable. Moses, a fugitive shepherd, was being sent to confront the most powerful ruler on earth.
Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh? Who am I to lead the Israelites out? I am just a shepherd.
From within the flames a voice boomed, both terrifying and majestic. It was God.
Do not come any closer, God said. Remove your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground. I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob.
At this, Moses hid his face, afraid to look at God. He was a simple shepherd on sacred soil, feeling unworthy in the presence of the Almighty, yet captivated.
But God replied, I will be with you, and this will be the sign. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship me on this mountain.
Moses still felt unsure. The task felt impossibly large for a fugitive shepherd. How could he confront the mighty Pharaoh? The weight of the mission pressed down on him.
He said, suppose the people don't believe me. What if they ask, what is his name? What should I tell them?
God answered, I am who I am. Tell them I am has sent you.
This was no ordinary name. It was a declaration of God's eternal existence, the God who always was, is, and will be. A name of ultimate power and authority. To bolster his faith, God showed him miracles. First, his staff turned into a snake, and Moses fled. But at God's command, he picked it up and it became a staff once more. Then his hand became leprous and was healed in an instant. These were signs of divine power.
Still, Moses hesitated, looking at his own flaws. Lord, I am not a good speaker. I'm slow with words.
But God reminded him, who gave human beings their mouths? Who makes them able to speak or hear? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go, I will help you speak.
Even when Moses felt weak, God promised to be his strength. This was the turning point. Moses realized God wasn't asking for perfection, but obedience. Though nervous, he chose to trust God's promise. God then told Moses his brother Aaron would help him speak, and together they would go to Egypt. In that moment, Moses was transformed. He was no longer just an ordinary shepherd hiding in the desert. He was chosen to be God's messenger, to stand before a king and lead his people to freedom. The burning bush reminds us that God sees us, knows us, and calls us, even when we feel ordinary or unworthy. God doesn't wait for us to be perfect or eloquent. He meets us where we are. He gives us the strength we need to do his work, often using our very weaknesses to display his power. So remember, God calls ordinary people for extraordinary purposes. Just like Moses, he can use you too. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing Bible stories. See you next time. Remember, God sees each of us individually and has a unique divine purpose for our lives. Consider Moses, a shepherd living a quiet life in the arid wilderness far from his past. Just as God called him from that remote desert, he calls us from the middle of our own everyday lives. We don't need to be perfect or have all the answers. God doesn't require our perfection, only our attention. We just need to trust him enough to take that first step in faith. And so, this once hesitant shepherd went on to lead the Israelites out of Egypt. He guided them through the unforgiving wilderness and toward the promised land. God performed mighty miracles through this ordinary man who simply obeyed. And Moses became one of the greatest leaders in history. But how did it all begin? It started because he answered God's call from a burning bush. As he drew near, a voice commanded,
Remove your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground.
In that moment, Moses learned that God's presence makes any place sacred. Hiding his face in awe, he listened as God identified himself.
I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob.
This encounter gave Moses a new identity, rooted in God's eternal promise. That same God is calling to you. So, what is he calling you to do today? It might not be leading a nation, but it could be serving your family, your community, or someone in need. God can use your ordinary life for his extraordinary purposes. The question is, will you listen for his voice and answer his call? Like Moses, you might feel unqualified or afraid, but remember God's promise.
I will be with you.
That's all the assurance we need to take the first step. If this story encouraged you, please like this video and subscribe for more inspiring Bible stories. Share it with someone who needs to hear that God has a purpose for their life too. Until next time, remember, God calls ordinary people for extraordinary purposes.